Well, K-Bar seems to have broke the internet with the recent announcement for this knife, the BECKER BK2 in MagnaCut. And as someone who has owned a BECKER BK2 in 1095, I mean, just look at the love that this knife has seen. I've tricked it out with my Carta and Kydex and owned it for going on a decade now. I can tell you that I am in no rush to go buy the MagnaCut steel version of the knife. And there are a few reasons why that I'm going to share with you today. I'm also going to share with you a few alternatives that, if you like kind of the profile, potentially, depending on what you want your knife to do, will outperform any version of the BECKER BK2 that could ever exist. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. Let's dive in. So here's what we know so far. This version of the BECKER BK2 is still made in America with the extremely desirable MagnaCut steel. I have now used MagnaCut extensively in folders and in fixed blades, and I can tell you that it truly is a very high performing steel, excellent in both fixed blades and for your pocket knives. In fact, when properly heat treated, I experienced amazing results on an 8-inch, 3/16" survival knife from Architect Knives. I used that all summer long, beat the crap out of that blade, did torque testing, chopping, batoning, and the thing didn't even flinch at a Rockwell of 62 on the hardness scale. So, based off of that, MagnaCut steel for this BECKER BK2 is being Rockwelled or hardnessed of 60 to 63, which is a pretty wide margin. And to be honest, I think they easily could have gotten away with 62 to 63 because of the 1/4-inch thickness of the BECKER BK2 design. Would have been able to handle anything our 1095 variants could handle, but would have brought up the edge retention a little bit, and it would have been able to hold this edge a little longer than something with a hardness scale of 60 to 63 versus 62 to 63. So that's my personal opinion. Leave a comment below for those of you who have been using MagnaCut on survival knives and fixed blades. How have they been performing for you, and are you pleased with that steel? Now, second to that is cost. Well, the MSRP over on the K-Bar website, when dropped, is $350. Now, that's MSRP, but wow, that is pretty pricey. And on the top end of MagnaCut steel in this size range, now 1/4-inch thickness, it does affect cost. But I said to myself, okay, well, maybe they are offering something new. You know, maybe they have my Carta from the factory, would be awesome to see. Maybe it's a certain pattern that, you can't just buy, when you're getting an aftermarket one. Maybe like blue denim would have been super cool with that tumble finish or something. And, did they trick out the sheath slightly or done something to kind of upgrade the design a little bit? The answer is no. Nope, they're still using the same polymer sheath that they've always used, and you're still getting, I don't know, it looks like gray to me on the website, but that, Grivery, I think they call it like Ulitat or something, just a slick polymer that all BECKERs come with. And I just feel like that's a miss and kind of lazy on K-Bar's part to not just add some value on top of the steel to going and upgrading for many of us who already have the 1095 versions. Now, there might be some saving grace there. I did call K-Bar today and ask them, is this like a website exclusive offering, or are distributors going to be able to have access to these MagnaCut versions? They said distributors can sell these MagnaCut versions. So I wanted to try and figure out ballpark, what would that probably be for us? Well, they sell the original 1095 versions for about $160 on the site, and most distributors sell them for about $115. So when we do the math, that's about 28% off the cost when you go through a distributor. So if we apply that same percentage, we're looking at about $260, ballpark for the MagnaCut versions if distributors carry them, is what we could probably expect, making it a little bit more reasonable, compared to other MagnaCut, survival knives. And the thickness definitely, does matter. The thicker the blade, the more costly it is, and a 1/4 inch is a huge hunk of MagnaCut. But then that brings us back to the problem of, you have this polymer kind of cheapo handles. So $50 for handle scales, at least $50 for some form of leather or Kydex. We're right back there at, over $350 almost. We're like $360, $370 for, tricking them out to get them to run like my 1095 version does. And that just really leaves me scratching my head, and basically is putting it now in the realm of knives like the Reef F6 in MagnaCut. I mean, this is right around that same cost. My Carter G10, epic blade, you're actually going to get a little bit longer blade length right there and a thinner stock thickness. And that is what really brings us to the second point that I want to hit with you guys, is that the BECKER BK2 is in its own right an amazing tool. You will have to pry this from my cold dead hands. This has seen so much use. I love owning it, and particularly now that I've tricked it out for myself and just seeing all the years of use on it. And if it comes to batoning and chopping for the size of knife, nothing compares. I mean, it's mind-blowing in that capacity. But at about a pound almost, it's just a lot of weight, and sadly, it's never going to do very well at carving, whittling, and smaller, let's get real, knife tasks. I mean, the reason you carry a BECKER BK2 is because it is a bulldozer, it is a rhino, it is an elephant stampeding through camp and able to do huge, hard-hitting tasks, but fine carving is not its strong suit. So if you like the profile of the BK2, but you would actually prefer your knife to do what a knife is intended for, carving and cutting, I have two options for you that are not only going to be cheaper, but because they're 5/32 of an inch thick, could potentially be much better on that level of performance. And I'm going to highlight those along with what I think K-Bar should have done in just a moment. But if you're getting entertainment as well as enjoying the content in this video, and it's just informative for you, I do invite you to like and subscribe and make sure to hit the bell icon so you can be notified every week when I put up new content just like this. And chatting with you guys about blades can definitely dry a guy's mouth out. So I might as well grab a swig of water. And that reminds me of Hardside Hydration's swig rig systems, and that they have really come up with a solution to a problem I've always had on trail, which is giving me hands-free hydration with a hose, but attaching it to my favorite rigid water bottle instead of a cumbersome water bladder that tends to leak and is a headache to store and dry. These swig rigs can attach to either my favorite wide mouth, like a Nalgene or a Yeti bottle, or I can go with the ultralight version, which can attach to any 28-mouth water bottle like a Smart Bottle, giving me options, allowing me easier access to see where the levels are, making it easier to refill when I'm on trail, giving me more space inside my pack for essential gear. And best of all, I just hit the quick release tab and store away the hose, and now I get my water bottle back to use around camp. And that's why I'm glad to have them as a regular partner and sponsor here at the channel. So I will have a link popping up here as well as in the description box below this video, along with my exclusive 10% off promo code that you can apply towards your purchase, saving you a little extra cash and helping you stay hydrated on all of your adventures. Now here's what I feel like K-Bar should have done instead before I highlight those two alternatives that are potentially better performers. I think that they should have released this in CPM 3V steel. CPM 3V is tougher than MagnaCut, isn't quite as wear resistant, and isn't quite as rust resistant, but definitely is very high performing on both of those fronts as well, and will definitely outperform the 1095, and is more inexpensive than MagnaCut currently. And because MagnaCut is so new to the market, and especially on bigger blades, I know many people trust CPM 3V over MagnaCut in this type of a knife. Leave a comment below if you feel that way. So it would have been cheaper and a more trustworthy steel currently in the market for these type of knives. And I would have released it with some form of limited micarta handle scale that, can only get purchased when you buy the CPM 3V version, and done a basic Kydex sheath. If they had done those things, I would have paid probably $350 the day it was released to try that out and have that in rotation over the 1095 version. And, I think that would have been a better value and just an overall better idea than going with MagnaCut, the cost of MagnaCut, and not giving us any other, upgraded options in handles and Kydex. But leave a comment below. I want to know from you guys, do you agree with me on that take or not? I can't wait to see the comments in that section. Now, to those two alternatives, and the first is the Architect Knives AK 5.5. This is actually going to be a little bit longer on the blade length. It has a high saber grind, similar to the BECKER BK2, but is 5/32 of an inch thick. Now, you can get this with several different steel variants. Mine is actually a MagnaCut version, but when I'm making this video, there's actually a batch of CPM 3V available. And at 5/32, I would argue that the 3V is going to be as durable, if not more so, than any version of this BECKER. I mean, the 3V is just bomb proof. And you can, through their knife builder site, trick out between G10 or micarta handle scales. You can choose between Kydex or leather sheaths. And if you do just a basic build, meaning like micarta G10, 3V steel blade, and the Kydex, no backer, it's like $225. But I have a 10% off promo code. I'll have the link, and it'll be in the bio as well, or in the description box below. That brings it to like around $200. Well, guess what? That's what a 1095 version, if you get a $50 Kydex sheath and a $50 handle scale in 1095, this is about $200, $210. So you can get 5 32 of an inch thick, and the edge geometry of a blade like this being much narrower, way better for carving, whittling, food prep, everything you're going to do around camp except for batoning and chopping. Yes, the BECKER BK2 and that profile in any steel will outperform this knife and the other one as an option. So just wanted to highlight those there for you. And then the other variant, I actually had a little bit of a hand in helping with the design, is the SCHWARZ LT5, also American made. The LT5 is made out of A2 steel at a Rockwell of 62 to 63. So very high on the Rockwell scale. This thing is bomb-proof at 5 32. 5 32 of an inch thick. Same kind of concept. You can either buy a batch when they drop, or you can go anytime over to the Knife Builder site and customize it out with different coatings and different handle scale options. This one happens to be the Rich Light in black, but just for some size perspective, almost identical, a little bit different sweep up, different handle design overall. Good Kydex sheath. It's going to run you starting about $195. I also have a promo code there, knocks 10% off of that. So I mean, we're like, what, $175, something like that for this blade. Now, A2 is not very rust resistant. That's why there are coatings on here, Cerakote. So that's the one drawback compared to, say, like the MagnaCut version of the BECKER BK2. So that's something to consider. But at around $200, there's two variants that are going to have much better edge geometries, going to be much better in every category except for chopping and batoning than the BK2. And if we're going to throw all three of these up and you say, let's go camping, I'm going to take either of these variants purely because they're going to carve and whittle and do knife tasks better than any version that the BECKER BK2 will offer. And I'd love to see a variant in like 5 32 with one of these premium steels of the BK2. I mean, I'd love for them to just thin out this knife because of these premium steels now. I think there would be a huge market for that as well. But I appreciate you guys hanging with me. I invite you guys to, again, check out all that stuff that we've been talking about and leave comments. I want to know all your thoughts, your take on the MagnaCut version, my take on the 3V option that they should have gone with, and all of the competitive options and everything else that we've discussed today. I do appreciate you hanging with me. I hope it's been fun and entertaining. I do invite you to check out the other video and to subscribe. And until next time, always remember to stay equipped, stay prepared. I'll see you out there.